The UFM News Hour with Motlhaping Modise.
Some ya mabedi e dire fela le some le borobedi 18 minutes before 7 already tse UFM News Hour nna ke Motlhaping Modise re leboga go nna le wena maitsiboano re solo fela fa re tla fitlhella jalo David Magae jaaka se bueledi sa Magalies Water a seemo se re lebagane le sone jaaka baamogedi ba kgotsa ba bangwe ba baamogedi ba madi e seng madi metsi go tswa kwa setlamong sa Magalies Water re ka iphitlhela re le mo lenyoreng kgotsa se bidiwang day zero ka ntlha ya mathata a itemogelwang ke ba Magalies Water. Falkop Dam ga jaana e eme go 23% ya mothamo wa yona kgotsa the water levels me ba Magalies Water ba re ka ntlha ya ga seo ba retelelwa ke go goga metsi a lekaneng go tswa mo letamong le go a phepafatsa le go a rebolela baagi go a dirisetsa mabaka a farologaneng. O tla gopola ga se Northwest fela le Limpopo le Gauteng ba amogela madi kgotsa metsi ga ke tse goreng ke ga ke tse ka madi metsi go tswa jalo go Magalies Water Board mme setlamo se kgotsa setheo se ikuetse jalo go lefapha la metsi le kgelelo leswe go tsereganya. David Magae said he's speaking for Magalies Water and he's joining us on the line. David, good evening to you. Thanks for joining us on UFM.
Good evening, Mutlaping, and to the rest of UFM listeners.
I know you want to burst in laughter because I said money instead of water.
Please share some with us.
I will share as soon as I have money. Thanks very much. So David, this is rather serious. The situation, it has deteriorated from the last communique you shared earlier. I think it was about 2 or so weeks ago.
Correct.
Of the water challenges you are facing as Magalies Water Board. You are now standing at 23%, or the Falkop Dam is now standing at 23% of the available raw water abstraction. How severe is this? And the aim here is not to alarm the consumers, but what could the implications of this be?
Indeed, Mutlaping, this is not a laughing matter by any stretch of the imagination. You are quite correct. On the 19th of November, we did issue a media statement to just caution our customers in our area of operation, based in the Northwest Gauteng and parts of Limpopo, about the envisaged water supply challenges, given that we haven't had, the normal downpours that at this time of the year we would have already experienced in parts of the Northwest, more particularly. Now, with that being the case, we have seen a rapid decline of dam levels, particularly in the Falkop Dam, which is an integrated system which is connected to the Crocodile West catchment area, which includes the Hartbeespoort Dam. And correctly so, as you say, currently the Falkop Dam water level is at 23%, and it's quite worrisome because from this particular dam and the adjacent plant, we are providing water to Rustenburg local municipality, Moses Kotane, Tabazimbi in the Waterberg district in Limpopo, and in excess of about 20 mining operations that are scattered in the 3 municipalities within 2 districts. So it's quite a serious problem, which has also forced us now to even reduce the rate at which we are now abstracting water from the dam by at least less than 30% in comparison to the normal operations, just as to ensure that we don't deplete the available raw water in the dam. That's the first thing, but also to try and ensure that in our distribution, we do it in an equitable fashion. Although there will be supply interruptions in this period, but the ultimate purpose is to make sure that everybody has a drop of water essentially at the end of the day.
So this will not only affect these 3 provinces you mentioned, the Northwest, Gauteng and Limpopo, but it is also likely to affect the mining operations and industrial customers you are providing this bulk water services to.
Very much so. I mean, just from the Falkop system, we are having about 10 or so mining operations that are receiving potable water from Magalies Water. So it goes without saying to say, when we now reduce even the rate at which we are abstracting, which will lead into water supply interruptions, both domestic and non-domestic customers are definitely going to be affected. And I think what's important is for customers and your listeners to understand that because we're dealing with more of a natural phenomenon, as opposed to us not being able to produce the required quantities when the water is there. We really don't know when it's going to rain, but all that we know is that the heat wave is going to persist, which is also exacerbating the problem because now it's introducing a phenomenon of rapid evaporation, which is another issue. Now, on top of that, at this time of the ordinarily, you do have a heightened water demand in the Bojanala Platinum area. But now to make things worse, you have the demand, you haven't had the rain, and you've got this rapid evaporation.
You have not been able to abstract much needed raw water volumes for treatment purposes as a result of the low dam level, David. What's the worst scenario possible here? And earlier I was referring to day zero. Is that likely to happen? Are we likely to face that possibility?
Well, part of the reason why we have been proactively communicating with consumers and even advising them that we will be reducing our own output so as to ensure that we don't, deplete the resource, it is to really avert that kind of a situation. Because if you don't have the rain, with the evaporation that is happening with the high water demand, at some point, we are going to be forced to get to a situation where we now issue a communication to say we are going to shut down the plant because there's nothing to abstract. And I think what's more important is for consumers to understand that we've reached a critical stage, and how they use water also goes a long way in making sure that at least, we reduce the impact of the current inconvenience. It is an inconvenience after all, but also customers have got a critical role in making sure that they are more water-wise now than ever before, so that they just reduce their own, usage, thus reducing the demand, and for us to at least be able to consistently provide water, albeit at a reduced level, up until the situation improves.
Yeah, but I wonder how much water do you still have in your systems? How long can that water sustain you before maybe we get a little rain or the water levels from the Falkop Dam is, increasing again?
Well, one of the things, obviously, that will work in our favor is because we're heading towards the festive season, and a lot of industries, I think from this Friday, will be reducing their own productivity levels. Therefore, that will translate in a lessened demand for potable water. So as soon as, industries, factories, and some other mining operations reduce the scale at which they normally operate, we are going to see a slight improvement. And obviously, because Rustenburg is the economical mecca of the province, a lot of people will be leaving. So we are also anticipating that with a lot of people now on road leaving Rustenburg, the demand is somewhat going to go down. Then we should be able to manage into the new year with the hope that nature will be in our side sometime, so that we can experience some torrential rains and for the dam levels to go up, and then be able to at least replenish as normally is the case.
What's the capacity of other dams that you normally extract water from for potable use?
Well, we in Gauteng, the Klipdrift water treatment plant, we're abstracting from the Pinars Refir, and from that particular plant, there isn't as much pressure, or the situation isn't as dire as is the case with Falkop, because with Falkop, like I explained before, we're providing for a number of big municipalities and mining operations. But in that particular scheme, we are only supplying Moretele, Bela Bela, and Modimolle Mokgopong, which are quite smaller municipalities. And in comparative terms, when you even look at the demand, theirs isn't as high as what we're actually experiencing from the Falkop system, because you've got Tabazimbi, you've got Moses Kotane, and Rustenburg that we are actually supplying from this particular system. But our key concern now is that the Falkop system has reached critical levels, and we are really trying to do our best to make sure that we don't collapse the system.
So you have brought this matter before the Department of Water and Sanitation for an intervention. And I'm wondering what kind of intervention, David, are you expecting from the department?
Well, one of the things that we have to do, we have had to do proactively, is to reduce our own rate of abstraction. Therefore, which means this is going to have a knock-on effect on our ability to then produce the required levels of, potable water. So already we have proactively done something, but we are in constant liaison with the Department of Water and Sanitation as the department who are directly responsible. We have provided a full report of the situation at hand as to what needs to happen, and we are hopeful that in the coming days we should be in a position to provide more of an update of some added measures that we will then be putting into place in making sure that we ameliorate the current situation.
David Magai speaking for Magalies Water. Thanks, David, for speaking to us this evening. Ke sebueledi sa ba Magalies Water jaka utlwile ba re bolela di province di le tharo, Northwest, Gauteng le Limpopo metsi mme ga go felle fo bo masepala ba le mmalwa ba di province tseno ba ikaegile go setheo se go ba re bolela metsi, including the mining operations and industrial customers mo di provinceng tseno.
News Hour, powered by Newsnote. Newsnote. Now you know.